Hi and welcome back. I'm really glad that you're here, and today we're going to be talking about hibiscus. So we're going to talk about how to grow it, and I'm going to give you my 6 best tips for how to grow and harvest the most you possibly can during your growing season. So to start off with, we're talking about Roselle hibiscus, Hibiscus Sabdariffa. I know that's probably not how you pronounce it, but there we go. This is not like the ornamental hibiscus that you typically see. This is the hibiscus that's used medicinally and culinarily, not the ornamental. So I just wanted to differentiate there in case you are just brand new to hibiscus. It's not the ornamental, it's Hibiscus Sabdariffa. You can order seeds from places like Strictly Medicinal Seeds. I've ordered from them before. They are awesome. Baker Creek used to have them, but I don't think they have them anymore. Plant Goods Seed Company is where I typically buy my seeds because they give you the most seeds for the most affordable price. So I will link those places in the description below. The Plant Goods Seed Company is out of stock right now. They should come back in stock soon this fall. Strictly Medicinal Seeds has them in stock. So those are 2 good places, 2 reliable places that I have used personally that you can get your seeds from. They germinate really, really well also, so starting from seeds works really well. So this hibiscus is a heat-loving plant. It's very similar to okra. As a matter of fact, if you look up a picture of an okra flower next to a hibiscus flower, they look almost identical. They're the same shape, same size, same color. The Roselle hibiscus is just a little bit different. And like okra, it thrives in heat and humidity. It loves growing in our southern climate. It does really, really well here. Heat and humidity. As you can see, my plants are looking a little bit ragged. They've dropped a whole bunch of leaves. They are starting to get some new leaves because I've been watering them, but the reason I think they're looking so terrible is because we're getting really close to drought conditions. It's so dry here, and it hasn't rained in a really long time, which is pretty uncommon for us. I take that back. We either get tons of rain or no rain. We have no in between. Either it rains every single day, all the time, and you're walking on a sponge, or it doesn't rain at all and we live in a dust bowl. There's no in between. Welcome to Louisiana. I have heard on the Strictly Medicinal Seeds website, Rico, I think that's how you say his name, he is like the herb guru. He knows every herb and all about them, and he said on his website that the hibiscus can actually be a perennial if you live in a climate that doesn't get frost. So if any of you grow hibiscus and live somewhere where it doesn't frost, let me know, is yours a perennial? Does it come back every year? Because that would be super cool. We do get frost here, so that will never happen. If you get frost, you can grow it as an annual. You need at least a 110-day growing season to grow it. As a summer annual, you just start and seed in the spring and then harvest it in the fall. So it's in the mallow family, and it's typically used to make jams, jellies, wine, syrup, tea. I use it to make tea. We drink a lot of hibiscus tea. I make a tea with hibiscus and Tulsi, which is holy basil, and we call it our happy tea because it makes us all feel better. It makes us happier. There's lots of benefits. Go Google if you want to know what those plants can do for you, but we use a lot of hibiscus. So the plant will grow all summer long without blooming or anything. Just the plant will grow. It'll get bigger, it'll get wider, it'll make offshoots. All summer long, it just grows. And then in the fall, it starts to make flowers. It is a day length dependent, so it won't start blooming until the days start getting shorter in the fall. Once it starts, it will bloom, and then it'll make calyces, which they are at the base of the bloom, and after the bloom falls off or dries up, they swell, and that's where the seed pod is, within the calyx. And the calyx is what you actually want. You don't want the flower. You want the calyx, which is the red part that swells up after the bloom falls off. Now, all the rest of the parts of the plant are edible. The flowers are edible, the leaves are edible. A lot of people will use the young, tender leaves like as a salad green or on a sandwich. So they are edible. The whole entire plant is edible, but medicinally what you use for teas and jellies and all that stuff is the calyx. You want to plant it in full sun. It will grow in shade or in partial sun, but your plant will grow much bigger and much bushier if you have it in full sun. That's just, they love hot, humid sun. Okay, so 6 tips to get the most out of your hibiscus plants. Number 1 is start them indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date, so that when you're ready to transplant them outside, your hibiscus plants have a head start on the growing season, and they will grow bigger before they start flowering, which is what you want. The bigger plant you have before they flower, the more flowers you have, the more calyxes you have, the more tea you can make. So you want to give them a head start. You don't have to, you can direct plant them. Wow, a huge tree just fell. That's hilarious. Yeah, big old huge tree fell in the woods back there. But if you will plant them indoors 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date in the spring, they will get a big head start so that they will grow bigger. They'll have more time to grow once you get them planted in the garden. And also, as a mini tip within that tip, plant more seeds than you think you'll want, because they germinate really well, like I said earlier. But I've planted this is my 2nd or 3rd year growing them, and each year I lose some after I plant them. They just don't really thrive in the containers when you plant them. So plant more than you think you'll want, because you probably will lose some before you get them in the ground. And I even lost some after I got them in the ground. I don't know, maybe they're a little bit temperamental. So plant more than you think you'll want and start them indoors early. Tip number 2 is to space them out. Give them plenty of space. Even mine, in the spring when I was planting them, I thought I was giving them tons of space, but as you can see, they need more. So the further apart you space them, the bigger they'll be able to get. That's pretty basic. They get bigger, they get wider, they won't be so tall and leggy if you plant them further apart. 3 feet is going to be about your minimum of how close you want them to be. 4 to 5 feet will be even better. I probably will plant mine about 4 feet this coming year when I plant again. So be sure and give them plenty of space. Don't give in to your spring urge to plant them just a little bit closer together so you can get more in. Space them out. You will reap more when you give them the adequate space to grow. Once again, bigger plants, more flowers, more calyxes. Tip number 3 is don't wait too long to pick your calyxes. I've been picking, this will be my either 4th or 5th time of picking. I'm to about every 3 days now picking. If you let the calyxes get really big, they get tough to where they won't snap off. The smaller ones are real tender and they just snap right off. You can see that one's kind of tough, but they will just snap right off with one hand. If you just have like one bush to pick, it doesn't matter, because these big ones like this, well, that one's going to come off, but you have to come and you have to cut them off with scissors because they just get tough when they get that big. If you just have like one little measly bush to pick, it doesn't make that big of a difference. But if you have 7, 8 more bushes to pick, it makes a huge difference if you have to go with each bush, each calyx, and use 2 hands to cut it off. Don't take my word for it, try it. It really makes a huge difference when you can go and just snap, 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 throw them in your bucket versus taking each one with 2 hands, cutting it off, and then putting in your bucket. So that's a harvesting tip. I would prefer to get maybe ever so slightly less calyx and be able to quickly pick them all with one hand. Tip number 4, as with almost everything in the garden, keep picking them regularly to keep them productive. The more you pick, the more they're going to make. This is a seed pod, so what the plant is trying to do is make viable seed. If you stop picking it and these seeds mature, the plant goes, oh yay, I accomplished my task, I don't have to do any more work. If you keep picking these, the plant will continue trying to make viable seed until it is killed by frost. So keep picking to keep it productive. It's just like basil, green beans. We had long beans in our garden and I missed a few days and the seed pods, they get like this long, they started maturing. The plant shut it down. I had to clean pick it, everything off of it, and it took probably a week for it to finally like kick into gear again and start making. So keep them picked. Like I said, I'm picking about every 3 days. There's some on here that are too big because I was planning on picking yesterday, but keep picking to keep your plant productive. Tip number 5 is to put stakes in the ground to support your hibiscus when you plant them. If you live where you get any kind of wind at all, you would really benefit from putting stakes down to tie up your hibiscus. I did not do that at the beginning of the season this year. I just didn't even think about it. I don't think I did it last year either, but I didn't have the same problem. But I did not put stakes down, and we had a hurricane come through. We didn't get a direct hit, but we got enough wind that when I came out here the next day, I thought Eric had come out with like his mower and just like mowed in between them. That's what it looked like from the barn. And I came out, and the plants were completely, one of them was laying over this way, one of them was laying over that way. They were just, it was bad. I thought I was gonna lose them. I was able to get some stakes in the ground and pull them up and tie them. But next year, what I'm gonna do is when we plant them, I'm gonna just get some T-posts, drive some T-posts down beside each one to where when they start growing, I can tie them up before it gets really difficult. It's really difficult to get a stake in and tie up a plant that's that bushy. So I recommend putting in stakes as soon as you plant them so you can tie them up to give them some support. It's basically like a giant shallow rooted tree. What happens to a giant shallow rooted tree when the wind blows? It topples over. Okay, and tip number 6, this is also a harvesting, actually a processing tip, and that is to get you a tool or scavenge, whatever you want to say, a tool for processing your hibiscus. I'll come up here a little closer to show you. So the part you want is the red part. Inside is where, I'll just open this one up and show you. Inside is where the seed pod is. This green seed pod is not what you want. You want the red calyx part on the outside. So you can sit here and you can peel off all this stuff, and you know, it doesn't seem like it takes that long, but if you have 3 or 4 pounds of these that you're doing, it takes a long time to do it that way. So I saw this video. It was on YouTube somewhere. It was like 5 years old. The quality of the video was terrible, but this is the tip I got out of that video, and it was awesome. So let me pick another one and I'll show you. Okay, let's get a good one here. This one will come out really easy. Okay, so this is what I've been using. Hopefully you can see this. It's actually like the holder for a meat thermometer that we got. The meat thermometer actually doesn't work anymore, but I was just looking around my house for something that I could use after I saw this video, and this is what jumped out to me, and it's what I've been using. But I also saw someone said you can use the cartridge from a pen, which I think would probably actually work better because it's a little bit wider, a little bit bigger. So what you do, you take your little tool. They also sell actual tools on Etsy if you just want to buy something, but something like this works really well. So you take your hibiscus, you take your tool, you're going to put it on the stem, push and twist a little bit. Did you see that? The seed pod just popped right out. And then you're left with just the calyx, just the part that you want. I'm telling you, doing it this way is at least 3 to 4 times faster. It might take you a little bit to get the hang of it, but it goes so much quicker than if you sit there and try to peel each single one. Like I said, if you're just doing like, 15 pods, 15 calyxes, it doesn't matter. Just sit there and peel them. But if you have pounds and pounds of them to do multiple times a week, try the pen trick. The pen hack worked really well. So I'll show you a couple more. All right, so you take the calyx, and let me set this one down. I hold it in my hand like this, like it's just held in this round part, and my hand is closed, but I'm not squeezing my hand tight, so the seed pod can go through to my hand. Okay, so you put it on the stem just like that, push and kind of twist, and that seed pod just comes right out. All right, one more time. Okay, on the stem of the plant, or the stem of the calyx, I'm pushing. The seed pod just pops right out. And you have a nice whole little calyx without a seed pod. So now I'm gonna pick my 7 bushes that I have here, and I'm gonna show you how much I get from 7 bushes in one picking. Okay, I finally finished picking. My hair is completely disarrayed from the wind. I got this entire full basket plus overflow into my ugly Walmart bag. All that from 7 plants, probably been picking for an hour. It's a lot of hibiscus. Next year, I'm planning on growing enough hibiscus to last me for a whole entire year, which, like I said earlier, we use a lot of hibiscus, so I'm probably gonna have a whole entire row in my garden of hibiscus. We'll see how it works out. If that's something you're interested in, make sure you subscribe so you can see in the spring when I plant how successful I am with that. But I spend a lot of money on hibiscus, and I know it's not a necessary purchase, but we love it and it does help people in our household. So my goal next year is to grow enough hibiscus and enough Tulsi to last us for an entire year. We shall see. They're really beautiful. So I hope you found this helpful, and let me know. I'm curious if you live in one of those climates where it doesn't frost. Does hibiscus grow as a perennial where you live? And also, do you think that hibiscus is something you might be interested in growing? Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't, but it is very prolific if you have the right climate. Until next time, y'all. Bye.